This is the Storyworks Roundtable, where we have conversations about craft. Because becoming a successful author begins with writing a great story. Hey, I've got a quick announcement here before we get today's show rolling. Have you ever wanted a master class in fiction? A class with a student-teacher ratio of 1-to-1? Meetings set around your schedule? You get to decide the project you work on, and you receive feedback specific and relevant to your goals? Well, now you can, and you can save big bucks doing it. The Royal Coaching Package is on sale now, and this special offer is going away on November 1st. So head over to wordessential.com/SWRT. You can get all of the details there. You can even find out why Chris Fox thinks you should work with me. Now, in the Royal Coaching Package, you are going to get a storyboard critique. That is your entire plot arc analyzed with in-depth feedback from me with an hour of coaching over Skype, followed by a 10,000-word comprehensive developmental edit, tons of written feedback, and then another hour of coaching over Skype. So grab the package while it's still available and while I still have room in my schedule. That is wordessential.com/SWRT. Now, I hope you enjoyed this week's show. We are talking about rereadable books. What makes a book worth revisiting? And what can we learn from that as writers? Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to this week's Storyworks Roundtable. We are talking about rereading books we have reread, books we would reread. What makes a book rereadable? Do we aspire to writing rereadable books?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a great question, isn't it? Yeah, as an author, I would love to have thought that I've written a book that people would want to come back to, that would be so fond of it that they would love to come back to it, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Do you think you have written anything that's rereadable?
Oh, put me on the spot.
I know, it's kind of an unfair question, isn't it?
Place the value judgment.
I've reread them.
Yeah, I've read them so many times I can't stand looking at them anymore. Yeah. Nobody's going to answer that. Okay.
No,
I'm going to be so bold. I let the readers judge that one.
Yes. Okay. So if you've read any of our works and you've reread it or think it's rereadable, let us know.
That's right.
We'll let you be the judge. And if nobody answers, if we just hear crickets out there, we'll know.
We'll go back to writing craft. Basics of writing craft. How to make your book rereadable.
Something to strive for. I don't think a book has to be rereadable to be a really great, enjoyable, fun book.
No, not at all. No.
But, and, as evidence of that, there are very few books that I put on my list of rereadable books. So, right? Proof in the pudding.
Yeah, and I think speaking of pudding,
Dessert?
the food analogy, works though, doesn't it? Because there are recipes that you just love and you'll always make them again because they're fantastic, and there are maybe something that a dinner that you've made, you think, yeah, well, that was great, but you might never make it again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do think you can have entertainment that is purely a one-off. I suppose if you look back at classics, though, the reason they became classics is because more and more people wanted to read them. They became rereadable in their own right, I suppose, because they were studied.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we should take the food analogy a little further, because I think a really great rereadable book is so special. It's not the kind of book you encounter every day, but then your food analogy made me think of like your favorite thing, like pizza or whatever. And that might be like the series that you can't get enough of. So you might not reread the individual books because each individual book might not be that exceptional, but you love the character or the style or that genre. So you keep going back to that author and that, series piece over and over. So that might be like the comfort food of reading is the series you can't get enough of.
Or the author if they have multiple series that you can't,
Definitely.
For sure.
So what makes a book rereadable? What are some of the traits of a rereadable book?
Okay, so I had 2 different kinds of books that I have reread.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the one type of book that I have reread that is literally just like I loved the adventure or something about the character that I super related with, but it was very much an entertainment factor. The feeling that I had being entertained by the book made me want to go back and reread it for the same feeling over again.
Yeah.
And then the other side of the coin was books that made me think and that I wanted to go back and reread because I wanted to know more about what was going on or I felt like I had missed something. Now, I read really fast. So sometimes I get to the end of the book and I'm like, wait a second. I have to go back and reread that in order to understand more fully, in order to sink in a little deeper, in order to fully wrap myself in this experience that I just had that made me like intellectually just ponder it for days or something like that.
Cool. So the fun experience of the story or the intellectual experience of the content, those 2 reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Robert? What makes you reread a book?
Lots of echoes from what Catherine said there. And to go back to the food analogy.
We're going to get mileage out of the food analogy.
How many of us are hungry right now?
Yeah. Hungry, exactly. It's that thing about consuming. When you pick up a book and you're really engrossed, as Catherine said, I'm a really fast reader as well. And I'm certain I skip things. So it's a little bit like bolting down that wonderful meal because you just can't get enough of it, and then wanting to come back for seconds and taking it a little bit more slowly and savoring each bite. So there's definitely that part of being such a fast reader probably disappoints some aspects of what you could get from a book, and I suppose the easiest way to think about that. So I did a speed reading course once, actually. It was excellent. It was more about effective reading as opposed to speed reading. And the differences between why you read and what your outcome is as well are important. So, nobody wants to speed read a love letter, for example. But you might when you're anxious for some snippets in there that sort of, say something important and special, that you whip through it looking for that one thing. Oh, yes, it was there. And then you go back to the start and reread every word and, soaking it all up. So I think that for me, those are some of the reasons why it's extracting more. I also reread because I want the feeling again, I think, same as Catherine. So there are times where I've been reading a book which is dull and I find myself wishing for, I just need to go, and I'll put it down and I'll go back to some of my old favourites because I know that's just going to make me get that feeling of escapism that I got from that particular author. So maybe it is because I want to escape. I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that coming after a book that you're reading that you're not as into. I totally do the same thing. It's like if I'm in the middle of a book that is just not doing it for me, I'm like, you know what I really want right now is I really want that character or that so then I'll go find that book and read it. And yeah,
someone needs to come in with a sword right now and do that special magic thing. But it's in the other series, not this one.
Right, exactly.
So that's like when you leave a restaurant that was just okay and you pick up a pizza on the way home, right?
We see how far we can stretch this.
Yeah, we're going to work it. We're going all the way with that. Well, what about reading for craft? Do you ever want to reread a story just to luxuriate in the prose?
Yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. Yeah.
Good.
The side of that coin, the intellectual coin, kind of thing. If it's a book that really made me think or really made me want to dig into that structure or what's going on in there, those are the ones I tend to reread for craft.
Right.
The romps, not so much.
Right. But even sometimes
you can get
it's
so
not,
much out of that.
Yeah, sometimes it's not even the craft. Like I'll read something so beautiful that I stop reading to enjoy the words I just read, kind of like eating that piece of chocolate and then pausing just to go, mmm. Sorry, I had to do that. Because it's
Those are the books
working.
that I
It's so
tend
good.
to read out loud to people. Like I'll stop in the middle of whatever I'm reading and go, "Oh, you got to hear this." And then of course naturally they don't get it because it's in the middle of something else,
Right.
but it's like my husband gets that a lot. Ha, here, listen to this. And he's like, "Oh, okay, whatever." So I'll read it aloud to almost to feel the words in a different way than just reading them on the page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are particular scenes sometimes that lodge in your memory that you go back and read a book for because, everything led up to that scene. And occasionally it can be disappointing, a little bit like watching a movie again that got you goosebumps the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
But I do find that the trap of rereading for craft is that usually you're doing that because it was something that was so impressive. And the good thing about impressive writing craft is that once you start rereading it for craft, you forget all about the craft and you're back at the story again.
Right.
And so it's kind of hard to be slightly meta at the same time. And often I found for me, those are books that made me think as well. So there's that sort of triple thing going on where there's the craft that's lured me into the story. And then there's a part of me that wants to reread it because it made me think. And then there's a part of me that as a writer wants to see why did this all have such an impression? It's just words on a page. It's amazing.
It is amazing. I think that was a really good summary of kind of everything we've been talking about so far, that what makes a book rereadable is the fun experience of the story, the immersive experience of the prose, the intellectual experience of the content, the themes, whatever the story is dealing with, and then also as writers, the craft piece, wanting to explore what this other person has done that was so impressive. Did I miss anything?
No. What about you? You're not so much of a prolific rereader as perhaps either of us, as I understand it.
No, I tend as a rule not to reread stuff because there's so many new books to read, but the stuff I would reread, it's for those reasons, and sometimes I'll pick up a book. I just did this the other day, so I'm putting together an online class on writing monsters and monstrous characters. And so I went to Glenn Duncan's The Last Werewolf to find a scene to use as an excerpt in the course. And I started rereading passages looking for that scene. And I was like, oh, this is good. This is really good. I could reread this book. I would, but then I went, oh no, actually, I wouldn't reread it. Because I loved the first half or 2/3 of it, and then it did like a genre switch on me, and it went from this kind of historical, psychological memoir, tale to now there are vampires and like CIA type people, and we've gone all thriller genre at the end, which really disappointed me. That wasn't the genre I was loving at the beginning of the book. Yeah. So, but I do that where I'll just look for something and then get caught. You think I'll take 5 minutes to find a scene, and half an hour later I'm reading.
Right.
It was, and then there's, I think I mentioned this before, possibly offline, that my mother-in-law, for example, will just never reread a book. She just doesn't see the point in it at all. So she's the ultimate consumer, and she's an extremely literary reader, and she reads widely, a wide range of genre. She'll pretty much read anything. She'll also throw it away very quickly if it doesn't satisfy her. So maybe there's a certain level of stimulation. What your threshold is. I'm sure there must be one or two classics that she has reread. Probably she won't admit it, but but that. So maybe if you have a very low threshold for stimulation, almost, I don't know how long you can go without reading anything, but for me, it's probably a matter of minutes.
Right.
It really, literally is, and it's part of that digital addiction, I suppose, as well. But if I didn't have those things around, I'd be picking up anything, a pamphlet, a brochure, a newspaper.
Yeah.
I have
do
to.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think part of the threshold there for what you want to consume, maybe we're like that in the same way that people are with, Netflix series or the binge, screen watching.
Interesting.
Because I know I'll finish in a minute. But Hank Garner, who has a really great podcast called Author Stories, where he interviews a wide range of authors, and not just indie authors, but they're traditionally published, and some fantastic interviews on there with the likes of, Jim Butcher and Patrick Rothfuss. They'll come to me anyway. There's a lot of real big names he's got, and he posted in his Facebook group. How many people here have read a book more than 10 times? And I actually thought, well, I know I'm a rereader, but is there any I've read 10 times or more? I don't think so. I probably got up to 4 or 5, but 10. And
wow.
You know what? The list of people that responded and the number of books that they had each read more than 10 times, it was extraordinary. So,
really,
we're by no means, an island in the rereading community. There are people who have just kept these books, something often that impressed them as a teenager as well, when they were first into discovery about life. They were pivotal books. But wow, more than 10 times.
Right.
And that's my sister does that, and she literally she'll buy a series, the whole series, and she will read the whole series until she's done reading it. I mean, she would just read it and read it and read it and read it until she has to find someone else. And just like she doesn't want to go find another author.
Doesn't want to leave, yeah.
Right, exactly. And so until she's sick of it, she reads it over and over and over, and then she'll go find another author, which also means she's got really amazing recommendations, because if you can read a book that many times,
yes,
then I want to read it too. But I'm probably going to make it through once, maybe twice on the offside, but yeah.
So what are some
I would occasionally reread. I'm going to interrupt again because we left one thing out. I'll occasionally reread, just reminding you with series, when the next book is just about to drop, and so I might read the last one or even the last two. And that, I think, is a bit of a warning for authors as well. Is that if your book does pick up very quickly from where the last one left off, you better make sure that's fairly seamless yourself, because that has happened to me where I've finished the last book and been so elated, and knowing that the next one is on my Kindle right now and I can start straight away. And you start going, hey, wait a minute, that's not really the same character. They're just not really behaving quite the same. So the author has come into it a bit cold as well. So interesting.
Yeah, which is a problem with epic fantasy series, when each book is like 700,000 pages or 700.
Yes, which is why you need to create a Wikipedia of your book.
Right,
or your
exactly.
series.
Oh, yeah, of course I do that for every book.
Yeah. Well, yeah. A friend of mine just showed me his wiki for this epic fantasy he's doing, and he did it in Scrivener, and you can insert links from one Scrivener document to another, so it's actually very cool.
That is good.
That's for another show. So what books have you actually reread? What are some rereadable books worth recommending?
Catherine, you go first.
No, okay. I have more authors than specific books, and these are very genre. Most of them are genre specific because I read a lot in fantasy. And because of that, the books that I think of that I want to go back to and re-experience are within that world. So I had an author growing up, Mercedes Lackey, who I will always and forever go back to because I just love the experience that she's crafted. And so it's so intertwined with nostalgia and memories and things that I will just forever, if I need that like comfort food, I will go back to her stuff. And then lately, Jacqueline Carey, who wrote a series called Kushiel's Dart, and there's a couple other ones in there. I reread that book. I literally reread that book. I finished it, turned around, reread it, and then read the second one, turned around, reread the whole series, and then read the third one. It was ridiculous because there was so much depth and craziness going on that I read too fast. I'd forgotten most of it by the time I got to the end, and even starting the second book wasn't possible until I had gone back and just settled myself into the world a little bit more so that I could be like,
Yeah.
okay, I get what's going on. And so it took me a while to read that because I had to force myself to slow down. And so therefore rereading it was really important to me personally. So those are two that right off the top of my head, and recently I have reread.
Nice. Do you want to name some, Robert?
Sure. Yeah, this is going to be a good episode for the show notes.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Well, I'd pick up
It
a
won't
few
be
tips
the
of
longest
things to reread.
I think I've ever done. Don't worry. We've had some doozies.
Well, the two obvious ones off the top of my head, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and Harry Potter. Definitely have reread those. I did love the Terry Goodkind series, Sword of Truth, until it got to the last few books.
I reread the whole first half of that one as well.
Yeah. So I think I'm probably 3 times on that lot. Same with Raymond Feist as well, the Magician series. So I probably read that. I probably read the whole series twice. And those, those 2 big series. I think they're both 12 or 13 books. Red Rising series is more recent for me, so Pierce Brown. So that's 3 times on that, and I'll probably go to 4 times when the Iron Gold comes out, which is the sort of start of the next trilogy, carrying on in the same universe. A lot of Isaac Asimov's Foundation I've read 3 times maybe. The whole series front to back probably only twice, I'd say. What else? Quite a few Robert Hine lines. Stranger in a Strange Land. Time Enough for Love, I think it's called, which is a beautiful book. What else? Orson Scott Card. So mine are lending towards sci-fi as well. So I've got Ender's Game, but Speaker for the Dead is probably one of my favourite books ever. And that one is one of the ones when we were talking about why do you reread, that's multiple for me. So that's stimulation for the story, the layering in the story, the cleverness of the story, the way it makes me think. The dialogue in there is gorgeous. I really like it, and there are some special moments, some scenes in there that you just know are coming, and I slow. That's when I slow down and choose a reader. I go, okay, it's this scene. Okay, I'm gonna take this one a bit slower, and then before I know it, I finish the entire bar of chocolate in one gulp, and I have to go back and reread that scene. So yeah, there's a few.
Good list.
Yeah.
Wow, and I'm impressed with how many series you both have reread. All right, well, I'm going to make a stand for the literary camp
The literary standalone, that's it.
Yeah. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I think the language in this is just stunning. Some of the visual scenes he creates are moments to really... I'm drawing a blank on the word I want here, but I'm just thinking of that piece of chocolate where you go,
Yes.
Those scenes, those visuals.
Luxuriate in it.
Luxuriate. Thank you. Yes.
While you're on that book, I think it's in, it might be in self-editing or editing yourself into publish. I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to look it up and send you the link, Catherine. It's a really, really good book about self-editing. And one of the examples they use is from Great Gatsby, and they give a particular scene, and then they rewrite that scene with more telling and not showing, and without the little clues, and it's dull as, and so it's a really, really nice example of why, because the prose is not particularly dense, it's quite sparse in places, but it's so gorgeously written that it comes off the page. So I can't. I'll think of it. Rennie Brown? I can't remember.
To Kill a Mockingbird. That's one worth rereading for sure. Harper Lee, obviously. This one is just such a wonderful story. These characters are so interesting and human and quirky and fun. And then the story has moral depth and is so rich culturally as well. You just feel like you're part of their life when you go into this world.
That's another one, make you think, and that you probably want to go back and reread in order to find all those little hidden gems of depth. Yeah.
Yes, tons of nuance in that book. Drown by Junot Diaz I just grabbed off of my shelf because he is so smart. And this is a collection of short stories that, again, takes me into a world and makes me think and experience something I never would experience otherwise without this perspective, this voice, this take on the world, you know. So, and also very, it's got a power to it. You know, it's a more edgy, very contemporary type of fiction. And then the Poisonwood Bible I've talked about umpteen times because I love that book. I have actually reread that book.
Good.
That is another one where you think and you feel and you travel, and the characters are exceptional. The multiple first-person POVs, all with a distinct voice, blows me away on like every level that we've talked about on what makes a book Re-readable. That's Barbara Kingsolver. I've reread Anne of Green Gables. I read it growing up, and I read it as an adult as well by Lucy Maud Montgomery. That is just fun. It's just charming and fun characters and, you know, really human.
I think something about literary books. I haven't reread a bunch of literary books for my own just because I wanted to, but because of schooling and things like that, like I've had to reread them. They get better and better the more you read them. Like that's the thing about, you know, certain kinds of books, and it's not just limited to literary, but those books that have those tendencies. If you read them the first time and you're thinking, oh gosh, that was not my favorite experience ever, but you get like, I was forced to reread Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. The second time through, I fell in love with that book. The first time, I could have cared less. I mean, it was awful. I was just, you know, I have to read this book, of course, in high school. Second time, I'm in college and I'm reading it going, oh my gosh, you know, and so like some of those books you almost have to reread in order to fully understand them, fully experience them, and not just be spending your entire time looking at it going, I don't understand, it was written too long ago or in a different culture or in a different you know, there's all these things and layers in some of these literary books that I would recommend if you have a literary book that you hate or hated in school to reread it now that you have a better perspective, because there's a definite difference in the way that you read a book or encounter a book, you know, first or second time, especially as you go through literary works. So anyway,
agreed.
There you go.
Particularly as English was a subject I hated at school and played up in, and so I was determined not to like anything they ever gave me.
Right.
Oh, no.
So for that reason, I probably need to go back and reread Catcher in the Rye, because I'm sure I gave that some pretty awful serves.
I remember really liking that book. It might
I'm sure it's very
rereadable.
likable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I found the book I was referring to. It's called Self-Editing for Fiction Writers by Rennie Brown and Dave King. There we go.
There we go. Excellent. Well, any final thoughts you guys want to add about rereading novels or?
Yes, going back to the food analogy.
We had to get it in there at the end.
We had to get it in there. Even though Alida and I think are both vegetarian, we obviously share completely different tastes, because I couldn't get into that Poisonwood Bible. I thought I better have a go at that. I started reading it. Oh no! It just dragged too many different points of view, I think, as well. I'll have another look again. It may just have been a mood thing, but
okay.
I had to put it down. Not because it was badly written, but it just didn't grab me. And bear in mind, I've been reading lots of really fast-paced action stories recently, so it's not that. It's definitely a story of as you say, a family, you know, coping with its struggles and its different points of view. But it's very interesting, isn't it? How
there are no space pirates or dragons in Poisonwood Bible.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
I just ruined it.
I know. Sorry, guys.
But yeah, it's all to do with taste, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day. So, you know, whether you look at some things, I looked at some things that people had read more than 10 times in that list I was telling you about, and I think I couldn't even read it the first time.
Definitely.
Or I read it once, And there were some real classic. I'm going to sound terribly snobby again. A Wrinkle in Time. I didn't like that at all.
Really?
Yeah, thought it was rubbish.
Oh,
You know,
no.
so
I loved
so you
that
know,
book.
yeah, it's so
We can't
personal,
be
isn't
friends anymore.
I
Robert.
know, heretic.
I don't care who I trash.
That's right.
No, but you're right. Like rereading books is just like reading books in the first place. Everybody has their different tastes in what they're going to love and what they're going to return to because of different times in your life or attitudes or things that are going on or emotional things that are happening. I mean, you're just going to cycle differently than every other person who wants
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. I mean, I can't even watch a Chevy Chase movie once or a Will Ferrell movie once, let alone more than once. Goodness me.
to. Me
Right.
neither. I'm with you on that
Right.
one.
We friends again?
Okay, sure.
Oh, good. Good. Harmony is restored here at the round table. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Head over to the Storyworks Facebook group and let us know what books you have found rereadable over the years and grow our list. See if you can entice us to taste some new classics. Thank you for listening to the Storyworks Roundtable. Find all our shows, show notes, and videos at storyworkspodcast.com.